The rules of the Lisbon Treaty and the EU are clear. All 27 member states must ratify the treaty before it can come into force. Mr Miliband spoke to the House of Commons on the dilemma yesterday.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The no vote on the treaty in the referendum is important because of our strong national interest in an effective European Union, and that vote needs to be respected. The next step is for the Irish government to give their views on how to proceed from here, consistent with their aims for Ireland's role in the EU. They have made clear that they need time to absorb and analyse the result and its implications, and to consult widely at home and abroad. The Irish Prime Minister has said he is disappointed by the result, but wants Ireland to continue to play a full part in the life of the EU.
The Foreign Secretary said Britain would continue to work to maintain the cohesion of the EU.
Our national interest is a strong Britain in a strong European Union. The EU now consists of 27 countries and 490 million people. Reform of EU institutions and working practices are important to ensure that the EU can function more effectively and cohesively, and also to ensure that the EU embraces an outward-looking agenda that tackles in an effective way international issues such as migration, climate change, security and defence policy, and counter-terrorism. But treaty change rightly requires unanimity across all countries. That is why it is right that we take the time to allow the Irish government to make proposals on what they are going to do next. It is right that we assert Britain's national interest in an effective EU that addresses the problems of the modern world, and right that we work to maintain the cohesion of the EU.
Europe, he said, must embrace real issues.
The last thing that Europe needs is another 7 years of institutional wrangling about its institutions. This is not the issue that the people of Europe want us to address. And if there is one message that I do think comes out of the Irish referendum, it is a command for the leaders of Europe to embrace the agenda of real issues around economy, social policy, and the honourable gentleman says exactly, the honourable gentleman who speaks for the opposition says exactly, the Lisbon Treaty drew a line under institutional reform, quite rightly in my view. It actually said that there will be no further institutional reform until 2017. That is the approach. That has been rejected in the Irish referendum. If the treaty is not ratified in Ireland, it cannot come into force across the European Union, and that then does have to be addressed. As my right honourable friend said, it's an issue that needs to be addressed. I haven't described it as a problem, because I think it would be wrong to do so. To describe it as a problem suggests somehow that the Irish were doing something that was beyond their rights. It's not. They've made their views clear. Their constitution requires them to have referendums. That's a perfectly legitimate thing, and I think we should defend their right, because that's their constitutional system.
There will be much debate on this in the coming weeks and months. The UK government strongly believes that ratification should proceed as planned, but that every country must take its own view.